can't tell you how many people say, oh, I'm not eating any carbs, but I just eat fruits and vegetables. Well, guess what? Fruits and vegetables are also carbohydrates, right? Different ones, maybe starchier carbohydrates than others, but they also break down to sugar. So when you have the accumulative effect of your refined sugars, the added sugars, if you're drinking soda or sweet drinks, or you're having some processed foods, some cookies, some snacks, and then you add fruits and things onto that, you're taking in so much sugar on a daily basis. We have no idea how much sugar that we're taking. So one thing that happens in the body when you again, just kind of like with drugs, because I look at sugar like a drug, because really it is the way it affects your brain.
Welcome to Q's Health and Wellness Podcast, your source for living a healthier lifestyle and developing a better mind, body, and soul. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful fitness gurus, athletes, and individuals who are passionate about enhancing all aspects of life, we provide you with the tools to help you take your lifestyle to another level. And now your host, Quinn Mitchell.
Welcome to Q's Health and Wellness Podcast. This is your host, Quinn Mitchell, and today I have a very special guest. He's also family. Quinton Hill is a certified fitness trainer and is the owner of Transition Fitness based out of Canton, Connecticut. How are you doing today?
What's going on, cousin? Q, the other Q of my family. I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on the show. For people not familiar with you, would you mind giving a brief introduction about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, exercise has been a part of my life since I've been about 12 or 13 years old. I always wanted to play sports, and particularly contact sports, football, things like that. And so I was a smaller kid. 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, probably about 130 pounds, a little skinny thing. And I noticed to compete on the next level, or the level after that I was going to have to add muscle. And so me and a buddy of mine, when I was younger, we started basically running and riding our bikes to the YMCA, local YMCA, not knowing what we were doing in the gym, kind of people watching, copying what we seen. And we would work on, the vanity muscles, the chest and your biceps and things like that. But it sparked something in us that me, and I still know the guy, to this day, we still have in our lifestyle, which is exercise and physical fitness. And then, so basically through the years, through high school, and then through college, I met strength and conditioning coaches, or, team trainers, things like that. And in college, I went to Southern Connecticut State University. I had a coach there, strength and conditioning coach. I asked him, I said, do you get paid for this job? Is this, something that you can go to school for? And I think at the time I was doing, general studies, kind of an open business major like most students. And he said, yeah, we actually have a program here, sports and exercise sciences or physiology. And he had gone through that program and then, got a job at the university. And so I then switched my major because I thought, oh, okay, you can get a degree for working out. And so little did I know it was more than working out, but it was something I was passionate about and something that I seen myself doing for the rest of my life, as opposed to any other particular job. I found it easy for myself. So I thought it would be easy for me to be able to do this with other people. And so, it wasn't necessarily easy, but it was something that I've been doing for a long time. And the one thing I can say about it is maybe somebody who's been doing something for a long time, when you know how things affect you personally, it's easier to describe or subscribe certain exercises or exercises or how things will feel because you felt way. And you've gone through either whether it's aches and pains, soreness, or the good feelings, your muscles may be inflated with blood and nitrogen, you got the gym pump going, or, those dog days where you just can't get out of bed and can't get to work out, or 2 or 3 weeks have passed, where you haven't worked out and it's hard to get back in. I've gone through all those things over the last, I'll be 36 in a few months, so the last maybe 20 years or so. So that experience that I built up with myself personally, working out in different type of gyms, clubs, with football teams, with different things like that. I've gotten a lot of different experience. And so I think that's the one thing that kind of helps me today. I've worked for $10 a month gyms. I've worked for $40 a month gyms. And then the previous club I was at was more of a $70, $80, $90 a month gym, more of a family oriented fitness club. And so what I did was I took once I kind of got into my early 30s, I started to take a little bit of the little nuggets from each place that I worked at and tried to figure out, okay, what would be the best overall fitness model for a fitness studio or a fitness center from what I've learned. And so those things gave me the experience to then translate into my own studio. Um, when I first got into personal training, I walk into these gyms and I say, man, one of these days, I want to own a gym. That was the ultimate goal, to own a gym. But I kind of talking to people, meeting different business owners, meeting former gym owners, it kind of turned me off of that idea because you're kind of reinventing the wheel, right? There's a lot of gyms out there. They're always competing for each other, basically for membership. And so they said, is that something that you want to do? Just be chasing memberships? And, there's a lot of overhead in gyms and things like that. And I said, not necessarily. I want to do more than that. I want to have something that's not offered. When I was, again, probably during my college years, there were these fitness, or I should say, almost like clinics that were being held in places like Florida and Texas. These massive centers that private donors would dump a bunch of money into, and they would take pre-draft athletes or pre-Olympic athletes, and they would house them and train them for weeks on end, months on it, and get them ready to, whether it's a 40-yard dash or a high jump or whatever it was, a track time. They would get them prepared for that particular event, so they can excel and do great. But everything was covered: nutrition, stretching, mobility, balance, flexibility, strength training. Everything was covered under these facilities. And I thought, that would be something great to offer in the Northeast, particularly Connecticut, because I hadn't seen anything like that.
Yeah.
So that's my long-term vision when it comes to my idea of a gym, fitness center, fitness and health center. So far I've started a very small version of that with my private studio, Transition Fitness Center. And the reason why I named it that was I'd like to see people transition, whether it's from, a high level athlete trying to get into a college or get into a pro situation, not just their physical body, but their how they feel, energy levels, different things like that. So that's kind of how I started and where I am today with my transformation is being in the fitness industry.
Gotcha. So what do you think is one of the biggest obstacles that you see with all of your clients? Like, what is it, just like one common thing that people come to you and it's like, okay, they all have the same issue when they start training with you?
Yeah, time. I would say
Mm-hmm.
time is the biggest issue for people. Again, and which is most of my clients are 9-to-5 workers, people still in the workforce. And so it's time. It's get ready or pack a bag, go get a workout in, go find a place to shower, get some breakfast in, all before I get to work. Or do I have an hour at lunchtime where I can make all that happen and get back to my desk? Or after work, do I have children at home? Are there things that I need to get to before I can get to it's time. Time management is the biggest thing. And so what I try to, stress with my clients in particular is that even if they can't get to me, because it does take, if they're a half hour away, it takes a half hour to get there, hour workout, half hour to get home. So it's 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours total. Even if they can't get to me, there are things you can do at your home with very minimum equipment for 25 to 30 minutes to either maintain your fitness level or improve your fitness level. So the one thing I usually try to sit down with people is find time for them. And a lot of times they do have the time. They just assume, particularly if their goal is large, weight loss goal or something, that they're going to need to spend 6 to 8 hours exercising a week. And they don't necessarily need to do that. Right. So I try to boil it down, sometimes 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours if they can. I see that as a minimum for people weekly. But where I really emphasize they can make up some of the ground on their goals is their diet. And you don't need time for your diet because we all eat when we want to eat, right? And so that's not something you have to find a special time to do. Now you do have to find time to eat in a particular way and eat well, and we can cover that once we get down into more nutritional talk. But yeah, I would say time. I would say time is the biggest one.
No, I'm glad you brought up the nutrition part because that's the question I wanted to ask you. How do you feel about all these different diets out there? Because I know a lot of people, when you see just the the transitions of people think, okay, everybody's going with the vegan diet or
Right,
everybody's going with the keto diet. So is there one
right.
particular diet that you see that works for a certain amount of people, or do you have any biases against those diets?
So here's what I'll say about humans in general, right? We are all the same but very different at the
Mm,
same time, if that makes any sense. So no, there's not one diet that works for everyone. There's no such thing. We come from all different corners of the globe, all different cultural, ancestral gene pools that make us who we are. And so to say, hey, there's just one particular diet. If you eat this one particular foods that come from this one particular place, that's not going to work for everybody, particularly in the U.S., or particularly if you live in a place where you have a lot of different diverse cultures and things like that. I've worked with Middle Eastern people. I've worked with people of cultural diets, Latin American people, different things like that. And they may not eat those foods. They may not prepare those foods. So my job is to find a way where they can prepare more of their cultural foods or the foods that they're accustomed to in a healthier way. What I will say is there's a lot of information out there on different things. Your best bet is to find what works best for you. So if you can, find a credible genealogy test, do some blood work, find out what your ancestral background is, find out what your gene pool makeup is. And that's a good start to help uh, um, get the right foods in your diet. Some people may, I had a client years back, she was from Barbados. She was a vegetarian and, living the vegan lifestyle for the most part, and or vegetarian lifestyle, I should say. And she ended up doing a blood work genealogy test and she got the results back. And they said, you should add more fish into your diet because you have a Caribbean background. People are from the islands, they ate a lot of fish, and it would spark something in your metabolism. So she did. She started slowly adding some light fish, cod, things like that into her diet, lightly soups, different things like that, until she got accustomed to the taste. And it actually did trigger something in her metabolism that helped her burn more fat. So there's not one diet, which might make it hard for people when I say there's not one out there. But if you follow the right process to find what works for you, it shouldn't be that hard.
gotcha.
Um, I would say the one thing that people need to do is be more have more nutrients in their body. We are all, for the most part, nutrient deficient unless you are really good at eating, almost 11 servings of vegetables a day, multiple servings of fruits, different varieties of food. We all don't get enough nutrients. And so if you're not eating that much fruits and vegetables and varieties of foods, and you're not using proper supplementation, we all are not getting enough nutrients through the day. So with that said, a start would be to try to get the proper amount of nutrients. It's easy. We all have smartphones and Google and all of this information highway at our fingertips. Find out what your daily recommended allowance for vitamins A through K are. Find out what you need. See if you're getting that. See if you're getting enough D. See if you're getting enough C. And what foods might be high in those particular vitamins or minerals to help you in the long run. And so one thing that I do, I also teach a weight loss program called Transition Life Solutions. Nothing I created. It's an awesome company that I've been working with probably for the last 4 years. And I've worked with some other shake and supplemental diet companies in my earlier career, just to kind of give people, just to backtrack again, because I came from such a sports oriented workout mindset. Nutrition wasn't something that I was knowledgeable about in my early career. So it was really just all strength training, heavy into the gym. And my clients would plateau. I'd see a stunt in their growth. And so the last club that I was working at, I noticed that I started outsourcing nutritional counseling. One, because I wasn't licensed or registered dietitian or anything like that. But also I didn't have the basic fundamental knowledge to give to people. So I started outsourcing that business or clientele to local nutritionists or whatever. But that put up a wall between me and the nutritionist and the client. We didn't communicate. Sometimes I would get back things that I didn't agree with, and the nutritionist didn't agree with. So I decided to take that into my own hands when the TLS kind of fell into my lap. TLS is a weight loss, or I could say whole health program that's based on whole foods. So lots of vegetables, lots of fruits, There are different menu plans. There's a detox that's included with it, and then different menu plans based on whatever your weight loss, body fat goal is as the weeks go on. And the one thing that I liked about it, what made me stick with it was about the food. Food first, teaching people how to read labels, teaching people how to grocery shop, teaching people how to take maybe the same, again, going back to maybe cultural cuisines or the same things that they make at home that they like, they're accustomed to in a different way, using different ingredients, healthier ingredients, trying not to use so many box cans, processed foods, and more natural foods. So that's kind of a long way to get to your answer as far as how do I feel about the diets out there. I just think people need to do research. You shouldn't just jump into keto if you don't know what ketosis means. If you don't have the discipline to fast, you shouldn't jump into it because you will shock your system. And a lot of times when that happens, people shock their system. They don't feel so great. Their mood drops. Their serotonin levels drop because they're not getting the same amount of sugar or caffeine or whatever they were having before. And then they will fail at that particular diet and then rebound from that diet. But their body will crave all those things that they weren't getting before all at once. It's almost like overdosing on sugar or something like that. And then they can see a rebounding effect where they gain more body fat than they had before. So doesn't take long. Take 5 minutes, do some research on who you are, what your makeup is, and then find something that'll work for you. Again, if you don't have the discipline to fast or eat a very limited diet, a keto or something may not be for you. Start with something that's a little bit more lenient. That would be my my ideas as far as like weight loss programs.
Yes, sir. So I'm glad that you brought that up as well, because I know you also mentioned how people lose weight and they gain it back. I know me personally, with some of my clients that I've worked with, I forget the term that they use. It's like carb recycling or something like that. That when they lose the weight and they gain it right back. Could you go into that process a little bit and explain why that happens? And could you give like a brief solution to that for people that's listening to the podcast?
Well, for starters, food is very addicting. Right. And particularly the most, I would say, addicting additive in food is sugar. Right. For those coffee drinkers or caffeineaholics, you have a compounded problem with sugar on top of that. Right. Because caffeine can do it as a drug just as well. And it can do the same things to your brain. Carbohydrates break down into sugars. Okay. One thing that I suggest that everybody do is you should know what the difference between a protein, a carb, and a fat is. It's very easy information. It's easily Googleable, or that's even a word, or you can, go on, ask Siri. It's easy to out. I can't tell you how many people say, oh, I'm not eating any carbs, but I just eat fruits and vegetables. Well, guess what? Fruits and vegetables are also carbohydrates, right? Different ones, starchier carbohydrates than others, but they also break down to sugar. So when you have the accumulative effect of your refined sugars, the added sugars, if you're drinking soda or sweet drinks, or you're having some processed foods, some cookies, some snacks, and then you add fruits and things onto that, you're taking in so much sugar on a daily basis. We have no idea how much sugar that we're taking. So one thing that happens in the body when you again, just kind of like with drugs, because I look at sugar like a drug, because really it is the way it affects your brain. When you have a habit of how you eat every day, so you consume a certain amount of sugar, caffeine, a certain amount of a food, and then you all of a sudden cold turkey stop that habit, you put your body into a shock. Right. And so sometimes with certain diets, they'll give you little remedies on how to, ease some of that, whether it's like irritable bowel or mood issues or, energy levels. Maybe they'll have a supplement or something to help with that. Sometimes they don't. The problem is that if you, make a dramatic change like that and you don't stick with it, your body is still looking to go back to where it was before. It's still looking to go back to the way you ate before, the way you metabolized before, because it's still attached to that. It takes about 3 weeks, 21 to 30 days for you to really break certain habits and for your bodies to change what time it's hungry, what it's hungry for. And that all starts with hormones, particularly leptin hormone and ghrelin hormone. And those hormones are controlled by different activities, sleep, energy level, different things like that. Leptin in particular is a hormone that controls your appetite. And so of most Americans, different studies will show you that people are leptin resistance, which means their appetite suppressors don't kick in when they should. Okay, so they overeat or they're craving the wrong foods. So now, if we again shock the system, we kind of throw everything off, we take away all the sugar, the caffeine, and we spike these different hormones. What happens is, again, if you don't stick with that particular process that you're using, you're going to get a rebound effect. So all of that stuff will flood back to you at once, and then that's where you overeat, you start craving those things, in the middle of the night, whether it's carbs, chocolate, whatever your vice is. And then the body responds by just taking all of that in and not being able to metabolize it at one time. Again, the best way I can relate it to is, let's say, athletes who use steroids, anabolic steroids. They introduce testosterone into their body. Right. And so your body already produces testosterone, it already produces sugar, it already produces creatine. There's a lot of things our bodies already produce that people want to dump more into. It'll speed up the process. So now you're adding manually this, whatever it is. Again, let's use testosterone. Your body will start to not make as much because you're adding it in. Right. So why do I need to make as much testosterone if he's giving me or she is giving me the testosterone through another source? So that particular process, the gland that produces your testosterone, it will slow down, or it will, almost shut down. And then if you stop feeding your body that, well, guess what? Now you're not getting any of that. Right. And so what's going to be the effect of that is an overload of testosterone all at once your body tries to refill the levels that you were giving. So I use that example, the same thing with food, sugar, carbohydrates. If you think about it like that, if you're someone who eats a lot of starchy carbs, rices, pastas throughout the day, and then you take all of that away to try to lose some weight and to try to do, some sort of dietary thing, and it doesn't work for you, and you dump it back in, well, guess what? Your body's going to have that similar rebounding effect, right? It's going to say, thanks for the sugar again. Let's get back to where we were. Let's try to boost everything back up to where our happy place was before. To avoid that, you got to break through. It's discipline. Mostly discipline. And so if you can get through, I do a 10-day detox. If you can get to 10 days, 14 days, 21 days at the max, you will notice that your palate changes, which is what you crave, how things taste in your mouth. The foods you crave change. You will crave fruits, things like that, vegetables, foods that hydrate you. And so you'll know, I'm not looking for whatever your vice is, you won't look for those things anymore, because everything has changed in your system, from your brain down to your stomach. And that's how you get long-term success, is you have to look at it as a total system change.
Got you. Now, how do you personally feel also about like the diet pills that's out there, the waist trainers? Because I know a lot of people have different opinions on those. But for you as a certified personal trainer, do you feel like those things work? And if not, is there like a substitute that people can do for those things?
So I'm not real big on how the waist trainers work. I think I have a little idea of how some of the idea of the technology of it works. But I personally haven't talked to enough people to get pros and cons. So I don't really want to speak on those things too much. What I will say about diet pills or even, those things, my great grandmother, when I was younger, used to buy all of the
because you go with
GNC. Yeah. Oh yeah. And my grandmother used to buy all the Susan Summers or whatever she's seen on QVC. She'd have all these different little exercise tools, and then they'd end up in a corner in the basement after, a couple months. I think people are looking for a Band-Aid, an easy way out. And this is part of our culture. Our society is to find the path of least resistance, right? The path of least resistance with weight loss is to put something on your body and let it do the work for you. Get a pill, let it do the work for you. You got to do the work, right? Again, as I was speaking before, if you don't change what your body craves, how it releases hormones, if you don't change the system, that device that you wear or that pill is not going to do it for you either. So it may give you some results, but are they long term? Also, what are you learning? Are you learning how to grocery shop? I mean, do you have a family? Do you have kids? Are you going to have everybody in your family wear waist trainers and everybody take pills? Right? There's no education there. Yeah. So if you want to be a healthier person, and that's one thing I think people sometimes don't put two and two together. They want to be thin and lean, but they don't want to be healthy. right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's something called skinny fat. I don't know if you've ever heard of that,
Yeah.
but those are people who look lean, and people assume, man, they must be healthy. I want that body. That person's skinny, but they have a lot of body fat. Their
Mm-hmm.
cholesterol level can be through the roof. I've seen skinny diabetic people. So you never know what's going on the inside. And so health and your physique, they come together. It's a two-way street, and you have to have a meet in the middle. So I'm someone who is big on supplementation. I like to call it fundamental or targeted supplementation. So when I do an intake form, I find out what people are missing out of their diet. It also depends on where they live. We live in New England, so in the wintertime, we don't get a lot of sunlight. So I prescribe a lot of vitamin D,
Mm-hmm.
because we're not getting a lot of that from the sun in the cloudier, darker months. So it depends on what they need. If they're an energy person, low energy, I'll prescribe like vitamin B complex to give you energy. It all depends on what they're looking for, rather than just saying, hey, here's a multivitamin, or here's this, take that. They don't know what's in it. They don't know why they're taking it. Half the time it may not even be a quality product. And so they're just going through the motions thinking that it's working for them. And so it takes the work, it takes the education. It's funny that people like to do this with their diet, because there's not a lot of other things that you can tell someone that you can give them a fast track and they'll sign up for it. So in other words, hey, you want to fast track a pill to lose weight or lose body fat, but would you do that with your education? Would you fast track your way through college and learn nothing but get the degree, right? There's certain things we allow leniency on, and certain things that we don't. And people need to take their overall health. You only get one body, you only get one brain, get one heart, right? And once you break them, it's expensive to fix them, and it's hard to maintain that. And so this vessel that we preside in is what makes us our money. It's what it builds our homes, our families. If we don't take care of that first, we have nothing, right? The old adage, most common thing, health is wealth. It's absolutely true, right? The healthiest people usually tend to feel the wealthiest because they feel good. They live long lives, prosperous lives, things like that. So no, I would say diet pills, for the most part, I'd stay away from them. I would just put in the work, and once you do, you realize it's really not that hard. It's really not that hard to do. So I'm opposed to most diet pills. Diet, thermogenic, fat burners, things that increase your heart rate, anything that'll tell you that if you eat, take this pill, you can eat whatever you want. It's just not true. It just doesn't work like that. So yeah, as far as the cosmetic things, the things that you wear, again, I don't know as much information on those things. But again, it kind of seems like you're trying to put a Band-Aid on a problem that doesn't need one. So that's my answer to that.
Got you. There's one more question I want to ask you before I let you
Sure.
go. Is I know that when you specialize in helping people lose weight, I know you had a lot of clients. They come to you. They say, "Oh, trying to lose X amount of pounds, whatever may have you." So one of the biggest things that I found when I work with clients as well is that when it comes to actually losing weight, that transition of losing it, I feel like if they don't see it within the first 1 or 2 weeks, like I feel like they're always checking on the scale, which discourages them. So they
Absolutely.
don't see that, okay, I don't see myself losing weight, but they actually feel better, but it's not a physical thing that they actually see. So what do you think is like one of the biggest problems that people tend to, do you think it's because they want to lose weight too fast and they don't see the progress right there in front of their face, or is it something that you see differently as a fitness trainer?
So as a trainer, the one thing I try to stay away from is the scale. Okay, because from a knowledgeable perspective, you'll know that people weigh a different amount in the morning than they do at the end of the day, and that could be a plus or 2 or 3 pounds, plus or minus. It can be a plus or minus of 5 pounds. Depends on how they eat. Depends on their activity level. It depends on a lot of things that person goes through in that day. So if that person weighs themselves in the morning, they're down 2 pounds, they go home at night, they weigh themselves, they're up 3 pounds, and then they're all over the place, okay? Your body fat and your body's measurements don't have a spectrum like that. They don't swing like that. So I'm big on body fat percentage, and I'm big on measurements. So someone's looking to lose weight and 2 weeks have gone by, and they haven't lost a pound, well, let's check your body fat percentage, okay? Body fat percentage may have come down a half a point to a point. And no, you may not have lost a pound because we're strength training, right? We're building muscle at the same time. People say, oh, doesn't muscle weigh more than fat? No, that's like saying doesn't 1 pound weigh more than 1 pound? They weigh the same. They just take up different masses of area of mass, right? So I don't know if you ever seen little diagrams or examples. You can take a small dime and say that's a pound, and then you can take a big basketball and say that's a pound, but the dime is more dense, right? So it takes up less space. So you want that more dense tissue on your body than the the fatty gelatinous tissue, right? And so it's hard for people to it's in your head too. It's psychological because you are looking to get your results quickly, right? But we all know, again, we're kind of going back to what I said earlier, if you do things to get results quickly, your body will tend to rebound. If you have been a particular body weight or body fat the majority of your life, how do you expect your body within 2 weeks, 2 months, or 3 months to transform that, right? It's not going to do that. So it's not going to take, if you're 25 years old, it's not going to take another 15 years, but it may take you a year. It may take you 12 months to really get to where you're looking for. So again, if you've been feeding yourself one way, give your body some time to rebound, to recognize what's happening, to have these physiological, these chemical changes in your body, so that when you do make the change, it's a long-term sustainable change and not something that you're fighting, worry about those pounds come back. So body fat, and one thing that I almost ask all my clients to do if they're trying to lose weight is I'll say, do you have an outfit, dress, jeans, jacket, whatever, that you used to be able to fit into and now you can no longer fit into? A lot of times I say, yeah, sure. I'll say, grab that out of the closet, pull it to the front. I want you to try it on. All right, doesn't fit, fits tight, can't get the button closed. Okay, so your job every 2 weeks, over the next 3 months, or however long we're going through this process, is you're going to put that outfit on every 2 weeks. And I want to see how much closer you can get for it to fit how it should fit, right? Don't step on the scale, because the scale will tell you multiple different things. But if by the end of 3 months, or whatever our goal is, 90 days, 21 days, 30 days, you are fitting into that outfit, guess what? You're losing body fat, you're leaning out. Okay, you may have only lost 5 pounds, not 15, but you fit into that outfit. And you fitting into that outfit is a more visual thing than how much you weigh, right? When luckily for people, when you walk up to someone, they can't see how much you weigh in your head. So numbers are arbitrary things that, men or females make up. I need to be under this, or I need to be over that. Really, it's about your appearance, right? I mean, that's what you're changing it for, your vanity, right? And and health. But if you can fit into that outfit and it looks good on you, and you're a female, but you still weigh 150 pounds, who cares what you weigh, right? You look good. People are going to say, man, you look good. You've got your exercise and your tone. You got nice muscles, and they may say, that person probably weighs 120 pounds. Little do they know that person might weigh 145 pounds, but they got a lot of lean, healthy muscle, and the muscle weight, is dense, but they don't have a lot of body fat, and that's why they have the body that they do. So stay away from the scale if you can. It can be a torture trap for some people. Use more body fat measurements. And also always remember how long did it take you, or how long have you been trapped in this body? Fat cells stick together, they clump together. The longer they've been clumped together, the harder they are to break apart. That's what cellulite and things are like that. So problem areas are going to be the last place. I heard from a good trainer years ago, the first place you start to store your fat, when you notice where you start to store it, whether it's your belly, different place for different people, is usually the last place you're going to lose your fat. First place you store is the last place you're going to lose it, because that's the most dense collected tissue. So you just got to stay motivated, and you have to find other things to use for positive results besides the scale, pounds on a scale.
Now, you as a business owner, how do you balance out your personal life and owning your own business as well? Because I know a lot of people that listen to this, they may have trouble. They may try to aspire to be their own owner one day of a gym.
Right.
But how do you personally do it and be successful at it?
So, like I said, I've only been in business for 2 years. So I don't necessarily know if I'm at the pinnacle of what would be success, in my opinion. But I do feel like being able to leave the gym industry and open up my own place was a successful move. Balancing it, I think it's kind of a personal journey for each person. It depends on what you want. If you want to be very successful quickly, there is not a lot of time for personal life when you own your own business. When you work for gyms, they pull in the clients, they pull in the leads, they basically hand you everything. All you have to do is kind of turn them over and make the people happy. I have to get the people to notice the studio, come into the studio, like the studio, like what the studio offers, purchase something, stay. And so that takes a lot of work, takes a lot more follow-up. I know as a owner of my own business, someone who basically everything I do depends on my income. Every moment of the day, I'm trying to think of what can I be doing to make business better, to bring in more business. And so I don't know if I can say luckily, but at this time in my life, I don't have children, so it's a little easier for me to drive out to different places and maybe sit in a business meeting, a chamber of commerce meeting, better business scenario, different kind of events. But for those who do have kids and other things, it might be a little harder for them to do. So, most of the people I've ever got advice from as far as owning their own business, whether it's a small mom and pop place to massive, box companies, they don't have much of a personal life, but that's the sacrifice they make to be able to give them or their family a certain lifestyle. And then if they're lucky enough to, live a little later in life, maybe post 40, 50, 60, that's when it's more the playtime. So at my age, it's more of the work hard time, and so I'm healthy, I'm able to and then the goal is to, a little later down in life, be able to kind of put my feet up a little bit. But right, that's business. It's a grind. And it should be like that. There's no real easy, quick way to run a business. It's an everyday struggle. It's an everyday grind. But at the end of the day, it's worth it if you can put your head on the pillow and know that the things that you did will result in your success and not necessarily end up in someone else's pocket.
Now, looking at your testimonials on your website, I know that you're a lot of hands-on with your clients, which I think a lot of that makes you different from, let's say, people that go to the gym and have a fitness trainer, because a lot of times they only see those people once a week and then they never hear from them again. So would you say that your business, that you're more hands-on, and when you work with your clients, it's more of a they feel more family-like than the business and clientele type of person?
Yeah, sure. So that's the one thing about personal training that I think too sometimes people have kind of a misunderstanding of how to choose a trainer and what the trainer's purpose is. I have worked with trainers who have had master's degrees and all types of certifications, you name it, everything, and they weren't great trainers. I've also worked with trainers who had $120 online certification and they were great trainers. And the difference was their people skills, right? A lot of times, depending on where you work, certain jobs will demand that you have certain credentials, but a lot of times people will work with someone and never really know their background as far as their credential background or their educational background, but what they're doing with that person connects with them. I've been pretty lucky. I have a lot of clients that I've been working with for multiple years. There does have to be a personal people relationship there. Talk to people. Ask them about their kids, ask them about their lifestyle, ask them about their job. And they do the same thing with me because it's an outlet for them, to step out of their lives and get to, come and do something that they may not want to do. It's hard work. They got to sweat, they got to make themselves feel a little pain, little discomfort. And so during that time, talking and getting to know people kind of eases that a little bit. Hands-on for me is following up, texting a client after a workout. Hey, how do you feel? Hey, is there anything that, you want to change about the workout? How, are you sore? Are you drinking enough water? Just following up, finding those things out. The thing with me, and I maybe this is not just me, but my overall goal is to get my clients to have results, right? Because results are end up resulting in good things for both of us. They get the body that they want and health that they want, they're looking for, but I also get to find out, okay, that particular method worked, and so now I can use that again, or I can tweak it. But that person also got what they paid for, and they got the results that they're looking for, and they're happy, which makes me happy. I used to say I don't want to keep clients for life. If I can give you all the information that I have and get you to your goal, hopefully you can take this on and do it on your own at some point, or teach someone else. And sometimes people say, yep, okay, I agree with that. And sometimes others say, you know what? I do know most of the things that you've taught me over the years, but I just need this appointment. I need the motivation. I like coming here. I like getting out of the house. It's a part of my life, something I'll do for the rest of my life. And so yeah, so you know, hairdressers, your barbershop guy. Most people all have some sort of relationship with people you see on a weekly, 2 times a week basis. Personal training is very similar. So you will look at not all of your clients, but most of your clients as friends. You may keep in contact with them. You may have a relationship sometimes outside of that fitness atmosphere, which are all good things, because it's a referral based business and you want people to like you, and they'll tell their friends and their family.
Yeah. So in closing, would you mind giving people your contact information and in case they want to train with you and how to get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So my studio name is Transition Fitness Center. I'm in Canton, Connecticut. It's just a little north of Avon, in the Farmington area, west of Hartford. I'm on 250 Albany Turnpike in Canton, Connecticut. You can Google Transition Fitness Center. The logo looks what's on my shirt here. I also have a website, transitionfitnesscenter.com. I'm on Instagram at Transition Fitness Center, and I'm at Facebook with Get Fit with Quinton. But you can find the Facebook link on some of the other social platforms. My phone number is 860-398-1449. You can give me a call. You can email, text, and get in contact, and come visit the studio. Right now, I've started Pilates classes that are run by a colleague of mine, kettlebell class. We're also offering active isolated stretching, so stretch as like a therapeutic thing. I'll be bringing yoga in early April, and we're also working on bringing cryotherapy for fat and toning loss and pain management. So right now I have about 6 to about 8 services. And we're looking to bring on more. Again, the idea of transition is to have a one-stop shop and to get all your health needs. So you don't have to go anywhere else. It's your one home to get everything you need for your health and your fitness in this place, and help you transition in life.
I appreciate you, cuz. So I'll definitely put everything in the bio. So if anybody's listening, they want to find out more information, everything in the bio below. But I appreciate you taking time out today and talk to me, and give this knowledgeable information. And we for sure got to link up, because I was thinking about doing maybe a few pop-up shops in the near future.
Yeah.
So we could definitely link up and do something like that.
Let's do it, man. Let's absolutely do it. Just in closing, I was telling the landlord of my studio the other day. I'm kind of in a strip mall with all these other different retail stores, and he came up to me and he goes, you are what I'm kind of anchoring the future on. And I said, why that? I'm just personal training. He goes, all these other places, you can buy those things on Amazon. You can go online, and these little shops are closing up. He goes, they can't buy you, man. He said, they can't buy the trainer. They can't buy the workout. And I said, they're trying, they're building these trainers and mirrors and things now, but still the personal hands-on, same thing, with any beauty or anything like that you do, it's going to be there for a while. So, you want to find a good home that you, your family, friends, and things like that to go to. And so that's what we offer. But yeah, absolutely supportive of you and any of your future endeavors. And I'll give you any gems I can anytime, cuz.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Q's Health and Wellness Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe or to leave us a review on iTunes or the listening platform of your choice. Also, please check us out at QuinnMitchellII.com, as well as find us on Instagram for more useful content and resources.